For the past decade, animes where the main character is reborn as a powerful being has been progressively increasing like wildfire. Isekai anime is a subgenre of suspense or adventure anime where the characters are transported to another world or reborn into another world. So welcome back to Animeology, and today we will show you the top 10 anime where the main character is reborn as a powerful being. Before we begin, be sure to drop a like and subscribe down below for more anime top 10s. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. Number 10. How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. For crying out loud, there's even the word isekai in the title. What if you could somehow find yourself magically transported in the world of your favorite video game? Well, that's pretty much what happens to Takuma Sakamoto, where he assumes the role of Diablo, the character he plays in the online world of Cross Reverie. After being summoned, two girls want to make him their slave, but thankfully, his pre-existing knowledge and skills of the world gives him a one-up in knowing how to defend himself, and in turn, makes the girls his slaves instead. Despite being a loser in the real world, Takuma as Diablo just makes the most of his situation to become the top dog. How Not to Summon a Demon Lord is more or less the ultimate geek fantasy. When you're put in a world that you already have an external and internal familiarity with, along with the inheriting of the overpowered abilities of your character, then as Shinji from the English dub to Evangelion would say, what's wrong with running away from reality if it sucks? In the world of your favorite video game, you can have anything you want and with a bag of chips. The fact that the main character can live out his fantasies is pretty much how it's a unique isekai series. Number 9. That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. As opposed to opening a portal with some form of magic, what if the way you were sucked into a different world was by dying? That's pretty much what happens to 37-year-old loser Satoru Mikami. Upon his death, he is sucked into a world of fantasy where he's reincarnated as a slime that takes the form of an androgynous preteen that can use magic, and it becomes something a little bit more than that. By taking the new name Rimuru Tempest, he can use his position as a slime to absorb the skills of anything and mimic their appearance. However, unlike some other characters who find themselves in such a situation, he comes to embrace his role with little to no fears or complaints. As Satoru, he was a nobody, but as Rimuru, he can find his true destiny. He's not afraid to stand up for himself and his friends, and learns to find the positive rather easily compared to his counterparts on the anime listed here. Some stories and people like to teach you that you don't know what you have until it's gone. But this anime gives us another message, and that message is whatever it is that you're looking for, sometimes it's in a place where we least expect it. Number 8. Now and Then, Here and There.
役に立つのか、こいつ。
それは心配ない。ひょっとしたらナブカより強いかもな。
If you've watched pretty much every underrated anime list, then you've likely come across this title. Now and Then, Here and There is about how Shu, an average schoolboy, is trapped in the world of Hollywood, where the entire world is practically a desert. And children like him are forced into Hamdo, the main villain's army. Compared to the majority of what we listed, Now and Then, Here and There is a rather dark isekai anime for numerous reasons we wish to avoid due to spoilers. What makes this anime a worthy addition and a strong recommendation is how Shu does his best to handle his dire situation and stay optimistic in this dystopian world where there's no more water. Instead of using a gun, he prefers to use a wooden sword, not only due to his background in kendo, but as a symbol of sticking to his principles and how he refuses to kill anyone. In addition to Shu's story, we are also given the story of Sara, whose story is just too difficult to get into, not because of spoilers, but just how disturbing it gets. Through Shu and Sara's stories, you see how gender roles are used in a world of war and why these characters can have certain mentalities. People like to say that males have privilege in regards to why they can be optimistic, and we have to admit that this anime does a great job of supporting that argument, and it's why we recommend that you watch it. Number 7. The Mysterious Play.
Yui joined her, and as soon as they started reading the book, they found themselves in a strange and foreign world.
If any anime is the true OG to modern isekai, it is without a shadow of a doubt The Mysterious Play. Miyaka is pretty much your average shoujo 9th grader. She's not that academically inclined, but she's very outgoing. During a trip to the library with her best friend, Yui, she is led to an old section of the library where she finds the Shinji Tenshi Sho, a novel about ancient China, but with magical kung fu fighting. While Yui reads the book to her, they find themselves trapped in the book, and after circumstances force them apart, they become priestesses to 2 separate kingdoms. Yui becomes the Seru no Miko for the Eastern Kingdom, and Miyaka becomes the Suzuku no Miko for the Southern Kingdom. As a result of their respective kingdoms at war, they become enemies in a quest to find their respective 7 warriors in order to summon their kingdom's god, and have any of their wishes come true. Fushigi Yugi has everything you need to make a great isekai anime. It's an excellent coming-of-age story about friendship and romance. It has a strong cast of characters who each have their own contribution to the progress of the story. Not only do you see the characters develop individually on the Suzuku no Miko side, you enjoy how they develop as a group. As for the Seiryu cast, they have their own distinguishing personalities and relatable qualities as well. But if there's anything that's the heart of this story, it is that true love conquers all, as expressed through Miyaka's romance with Tamahome, who rivals Tuxedo Mask as the anime heartthrob of the 90s. Last, this is one of the few anime titles where Yu Watase, the original creator, isn't afraid to admit that the main villain, Nakago, is her favorite character. Number 6. Drifters. Drifters follows a very interesting concept of using known historical figures. They are summoned in a different world by magicians who wish to employ their skills, capabilities, and knowledge to solve their problems. The anime begins with Shimatsu Toyohisa, who at the Battle of Sekigahara manages to mortally wound Lee Naomosa. While returning from the battlefield, he finds himself slowly and steadily feeling better, and suddenly realizes that he has been transported into a different world. He finds himself transported to a corridor of doors, where a bespectacled man at a desk waits for him. This man, Murasaki, sends Toyohisa through the nearest door where he wakes up in another world. There, Toyohisa meets other great warriors like him who have been transported as well to be part of a group known as the Drifters. This world is in midst of a war. The humans, along with a number of fantastical races, including elves, dwarves, and hobbits, are fighting against another group of great warriors, the Ents, who wish to take over the world and kill all of the Drifters since they are the only hope the humans have. The Ents have many creatures under them, including giants and dragons, whom they use to destroy everything in their path. Number 5. Sword Art Online.
Stream.
Sword Art Online is one of the most trending anime right now. Since its inception due to the rise of sites like Netflix, it has created a huge following. Sword Art Online in the last few years has created one of the biggest fandoms in the world. Katsuto Kirigaya and Asuna Yuki, the 2 protagonists of the anime, are unique and have a lot of depth to their personality. Even though they are technically a part of a video game, the emotions they feel resonate with the audience. The anime starts when a virtual reality massively multiplayer online role-playing game called Sword Art Online, or SAO, is released. With the Nerve Gear, a helmet that stimulates the user's 5 senses via their brain, players can experience and control their in-game characters with their minds. When players excitedly enter the game, they get the shock of their life after realizing that they can't log out. They are told that until and unless they defeat and take over Aincrad, they can't get out of here. The worst part of playing this game is the fact that if they die in the game, they will also suffer a similar fate outside. These stakes and consequences make everyone panic. Amidst all of this, some rise to the occasion and make their names, while some suffer disastrous consequences. Number 4. Overlord.
反撃といこうか。ヘルフレイム。
This anime's plot starts when a dive massively multiplayer online role-playing game, or DMMORPG, called Yggdrasil is released, standing out among all other DMMORPGs due to its unusually high ability for the player to interact with the game. Just like all good things, this game also runs its course. After 12 long years, the game servers are about to be shut down. Within the game, there exists a guild, Eins Ul Gon, once consisting of 41 members, and it's credited as one of the strongest guilds in the game. In this guild, we have a skeletal Overlord character named Momonga, who decides to stay in the game until the servers shut down, but miraculously finds himself stuck in the game. The game after the shutdown creates an alternate reality out of itself. Though an ardent fan of the game, he doesn't know if it's a boon or curse. It is not the life he is used to. In this series, he deals with that adventure. Number 3. Saga of Tanya the Evil. Saga of Tanya the Evil starts when an unnamed atheist, at the moment of being murdered, is confronted by a godlike entity for not having or practicing faith in his life. Rather than being scared, the salaryman mocks his existence. The entity, to prove its superiority, decides to reincarnate the man into a different world where he would face difficult circumstances and would be forced to turn to the entity for help. Thus, the salaryman is reborn as Tanya in an alternate universe which is like Imperial Germany. The entity threatens her. If she does not die a natural death or refuses to have faith in it, her soul will leave the cycle of reincarnation and will be sent to hell for the countless sins that Tanya has committed in her previous life. The anime, throughout its run, witnesses not only the epic battles of this world, but also the battles inside Tanya, as she fights off the two opposites in her that have come about because of her distrust in a higher power. Number 2. ReZero, starting life in another world. The title of this anime basically means starting life in another world from zero, aka from the ground up. That is a very original and downright gold premise for an isekai anime. It puts our protagonist as well as the viewers in a land of possibilities as well as dangers. It follows high school student Natsuki Subaru, who one day miraculously is summoned to another world out of nowhere. He goes into this world absolutely, figuratively blind with no idea what to do. He doesn't know who has summoned him or even the reason for his unexpected summoning. He begins to make sense of the situation when a mysterious silver-haired girl saves him along with her cat. It is when he starts collaborating with the girl that the real story begins. When they finally start to make sense of the situation and garner a clue, they get another shock and are put to their deaths by someone. Then he is again revived and realizes that he has the insane capacity to rewind time after dying. Now, putting all of his past woes aside, this normal high school student has now put every bit of his energy into saving that girl from imminent death. This is an anime of growth and transformation. It's about choices and predominantly relationships and how far we will go to protect them. It's all of these varying facets that make this anime an interesting and honestly wonderful watch. Number 1. The Rising of the Shield Hero. This anime begins with the kingdom of Melromark, summoning 4 legendary heroes of the past to save them. Their call was answered in modern-day Japan, from where our unwitting heroes are transported to this fantasy universe. Of all these heroes, the person with the most interesting start was definitely Otaku Naofumi Iwatani, aka Shield Hero, who is labeled the weakest due to his lack of offensive capability and apparent inexperience. When the heroes part ways to start their journeys, he only has one willing companion, the beautiful Princess Malti Melremark. However, she soon betrays him, steals all his money, and accuses him of taking advantage of her. Nobody believes him in this unknown world, and he becomes isolated. Being labeled a criminal and accused of wrong things, the otaku takes this to heart and begins to go on a path to find retribution and revenge against everyone who did him wrong. This story deals with the personality of human beings and how any action we can do causes a huge change. Therefore, any act done by us should be performed very carefully, because it can impact others badly and fill them with darkness capable of destroying everyone and everything.